But yeah, so first one, man, we certainly kind of live in an age of medical misinformation out on social media. I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably seen stuff and been like, oh, really? Is that what people are saying? So this one that I have seen lately is pretty wild. Like, it's one of the ones that's just like, I mean, some of the things I'm like, okay, I could see how somebody might think this, but this one is the myth that sunscreen actually causes cancer.
I've heard that.
Have you guys heard this one?
Yeah, it's because of like all the chemicals in it.
Yeah. Trey, have you heard the myth the sunscreen causes cancer one?
No, and it's so funny. I'm not a sunscreen user, but going to Horseshoe Bay, I actually put some on.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, the darker your skin tone, the more protected you are from the sun. But yeah, it's not a bad idea, Trey.
100%.
Well, it can age your skin too, is the other thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, well, I've been seeing this one pop up, like, oh man, it's probably been 6 to 12 months maybe. I saw it once, I was like, okay, this is just, I mean, you see stuff on the internet and you see all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really pay attention to every little crazy thing I see. But this one kept popping up and I couldn't really believe it. And so, obviously this is not right. Sunscreen does not cause cancer, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why I say that. But sometimes when I see these things, I always wonder who's saying them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why would someone say something like that? I mean,
to sell something.
Yes, exactly right. So a lot of the times I've noticed on social media, and this goes specifically for the sunscreen causes cancer one, but for other ones too, like these people potentially can profit if you believe it.
Yeah. Right.
So the ones I've seen for the sunscreen cancer thing are like natural health advocates, people selling like all natural products. Or there are people who just get like social media clout from like bringing down like traditional medicine. Like that's been a thing
like
since
homeopathic stuff.
Yeah, that's been a thing since the pandemic. So of course, I mean, when you see these things, if not just this one, but other ones, you kind of have to look at the source. And it's funny, you'll see something like this, and then at the end of the social media post, it'll be like, oh, but come buy my products, right? And then you should kind of know that something might be, might
shady.
be up. Yeah. So the next thing would be like, what is their source of information? And so Sarah, you actually know this. Yeah, that's one of the ones, right? So I'm going to go over these. So the way that this sunscreen causes cancer myth has popped up are three main reasons. And Sarah said the first one is the chemicals in the sunscreen. Yeah. So specifically, it's oxybenzone and avobenzone. Okay. So those are two active ingredients in sunscreen that actually block the UV rays. Okay. So that's good. And so there's actually some studies out there, and they're animal studies, right? So this is not like a human study, because just because something happens in an animal, we don't automatically assume it happens in a human. Right. But there are some animal studies where they gave them like these enormous doses of specifically oxybenzone, and I'm talking like 10, 20 times what you could.
Is this the same people that studied aspartame?
Probably, remember? Right, that was the exact same thing, yeah.
You have to drink like 500
You have to drink like
Cokes.
500 Diet Cokes in a day.
Yeah, to get
cancerous.
aspartame.
So this is very similar to that, Sarah. I actually had forgotten that one, but you're absolutely right. So they're giving animals these enormous doses of oxybenzone, and what it did is it led to some metabolic disruption, which then you could theorize that potentially could increase your cancer risk. So it's not like the animals even got cancer. It's just had
like irregular cell growth.
Right, correct, right, exactly. But again, at doses that are enormously high, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one with the chemicals that you said. The other one is the theory that vitamin D deficiency is going to give you cancer. And so obviously, well, not obviously, I mean, you guys may or may not know that the sun causes our body to make vitamin D, right? We need vitamin D.
Which is good for us.
Yeah, vitamin D is good for you, right? And actually, vitamin D deficiency is a thing in the United States. I saw one study that said that maybe 25% of people have vitamin D deficiency. And if you extrapolate that far enough, if you have really, really low vitamin D, there is a potential increase in cancer risk. So people are saying, well, if you wear sunscreen, you're not going to make vitamin D and you're going to get cancer. Well, the problem is that sunscreen doesn't block the sun's ability to create vitamin D. Okay. Yeah, so it like sunscreen blocks certain things, but doesn't block everything. Okay. So whatever biochemical reaction is happening when the sun is creating vitamin D, by shining on you, is not affected by sunscreen. That's been documented in the research. Yeah. So that one's debunked. The other one I've seen commonly are with what we call viral anecdotes. So that would be like saying, well, if you look at the rate of skin cancer over the past however many decades, it's actually gone up since people are using sunscreen.
Oh.
Which is true. Okay, that is true. However, this is a classic, scenario where somebody who doesn't really know enough about either research or medicine is trying to, make these conclusions from
like
a
big leaps.
point of fact, right? And so the reason that it's not pertinent is that we're living a lot longer. And people are living much longer than 100 years ago, and the longer you live, the more likely you are to get skin cancer.
Yeah, and there's like so much new medical technology.
Exactly.
You can detect cancer way earlier.
Exactly, 100%, right. And
So-
so when people say things like, oh, well, obviously sunscreen's giving us cancer because once we started using it, people are getting more skin cancer, it's just false. Like it's.
Did you find anything about like the aerosol sunscreens? I remember whenever like I had Avery and I was like, doing the whole like obsessive mom stuff that every mom does. It was like aerosol. If your kid breathes in aerosol sunscreen, it's really, really bad for them.
Really?
So there was all these moms that would only use.
I know that there's some
lotion type.
question about the chemicals in the aerosol, but I thought it was more environmentally related.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously you probably wouldn't want to huff.
Not use it as like a mouth spray. Yeah.
That'd probably be bad. But no, I didn't see anything specifically about that. And I did pull some research.
Okay.
Because you were asking about that. So there's actually hundreds and hundreds of research articles about sunscreen and its effects, good and potentially bad. There's not really a whole lot of bad, to be honest. But I picked a few, and the summary is that there's no literature whatsoever that says sunscreen causes cancer. It just is not, and it's been looked at.
Yeah.
Like that has been looked at. So I pulled three, really some of the bigger, studies about sunscreen. 1999 Journal of Clinical Oncology, right? So cancer journal, that showed that people that use sunscreen had a dramatically lower rate of skin cancer. Okay. So preventing cancer. 2019 Annals of Internal Medicine. This looks specifically at the long-term use of sunscreen. Not like I went and used sunscreen in Horseshoe Bay with Trey when we were out water skiing or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm using sunscreen every day for a whole summer, all right? Or years. It reduced skin aging, notably.
Right.
And specifically, there was no increased risk of any cancers. Specifically, they looked at that. And then the other big one is a 2021 FDA sunscreen literature review where they looked at like a bazillion articles about sunscreen. And their biggest takeaway is that sunscreen prevents, not causes, cancer. So, I mean, the literature on
It
this...
does what it's supposed to do.
What's that?
I said it does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it works as intended, yeah.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
And and the other thing is a plastic surgeon. So I do skin cancer surgeries. So obviously I want people to wear sunscreen because I'm in all sorts of skin cancers because a lot of times when people get them on the face, like nobody wants to take them off because they're worried about how it's going to look. Or if it's a big skin cancer, they need reconstruction to close it. So obviously I want people to wear sunscreen. But the other part of my practice is the aesthetic side. I can tell you 100%, if somebody is in the sun all the time and they're not using sunscreen and they come into my office, I know it.
Yeah.
Like I can tell on their skin. It's obvious to me, and I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about when you see people whose skin quality looks, more aged than it should, and you know that they're out in the sun a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many reasons to wear sunscreen.
I wear sunscreen every day on my face. And
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
It's like my foundation.
Well,
has
yeah, and
sunscreen
we've
in it.
talked about that when we've done skincare routines. I mean, sunscreen is literally one of the three pillars of sunscreen behind cleansing and moisturizer, right? Cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen. I mean, if you want your skin to be good quality, to be healthy, like you don't want UV light like to be hitting it, whether that be tanning beds or sunscreens. And so, the last thing I said is or I would say about this is all of the medical societies and groups, so notably American Academy of Dermatology, World Health Organization, the American Association of Plastic Surgery, SPS, everyone is for sunscreen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just, it's sad we have to have a segment about this, but, the idea that sunscreen causes cancer is just purely ludicrous. It's like flat earth theory.
Yeah. Well, perfect timing for summer, though.
Right, exactly. And I will say that as with most of these misinformation topics, it starts out with like something that is research that could lead you to believe that, but then it's just extrapolated into something that's just nonsense.
And honestly, like when I was younger, I would just sit out in the sun and not put sunscreen on.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because I wanted to get a tan.
We were dumb. We didn't know any better.
It wasn't because I was like, oh, I'm going to get a sunburn. It's just specifically because I wanted to get a tan.
Yeah.
But honestly, as I've gotten older, I use sunscreen.
And you still tan.
I still get tan.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, that's like a super big myth as well. Because it's like, I know girls will just not wear sunscreen, or guys will not wear sunscreen.
Because they want to get a tan.
Because they're like, oh, I got to get a good sunburn.
Oh, the burn. Yeah, no, you don't want to get a burn. Like, it's really bad for you.
Yeah.
I read one paper
at
some point that said that every sunburn you get in your lifetime increases your risk of skin cancer by X amount. Mm-hmm. Like they figured this out. Like when you get like sunburns, that's worse than just like getting out into the sun, obviously, because it's like literally burning your skin.
Yeah.
And then your cells are more likely to go haywire and cause a cancer. Mm-hmm. And skin cancer is the #1 cancer in the United States. Yeah. All right. Let's recap this one real quick, Trey. Today we took on the myth that sunscreen causes cancer. Not true. Not true. So this comes from people who typically will profit from you believing that. People selling all natural products, or people who are trying to, bring down traditional medicine. It comes from the misinterpretation of actual research. There are 2 active ingredients in sunscreen that block UV light that were studied in animal models, and that is oxybenzone and avobenzone. That in very, very high doses, I'm talking way higher than you would ever get from using sunscreen, showed to be cause metabolic disruption in animal models, which could potentially increase risk of cancer. So there's never been a link to these actually causing cancer. Other thing that people say is that the vitamin D deficiency could give you cancer. Not true. Sunscreen doesn't block the sun's ability to create vitamin D. And then the myth that skin cancers are much worse now that we started using sunscreen. Yes, we are diagnosing more, but we're living a lot longer and medicine is picking them up. All of the research on this is 100% clear. There's been studies specifically looking to see if long-term sunscreen use causes cancer, and none has been found over hundreds and hundreds of studies. Also, from a plastic surgery perspective, you want to wear sunscreen because the sun ages your skin very, very badly. So if you don't want to get cancer and you want to have good-looking skin and stay young, please use your sunscreen. It's summer, it's coming up. Remember that. Boom.
Yeah, sunscreen equals no wrinkles.
That's right, no wrinkles. All right.